There are times that I look at Christianity or talk to a Christian person and I think to myself, this is exactly what the problem is on earth right here. This kind of ignorance from this individual, this kind of denial of what is going on. Is that really what there is, though? Is Christianity the issue? I'm going to say Christianity is a significant issue. But I'm going to say that all things Abrahamic are significant issues because all of them teach something that is very tribal. Me against you, we're chosen. You're not part of us. You're demonized instantly by not being a part of us. Those are, parts of the process. So it doesn't take into account people that come from elsewhere in the globe that are, that weren't brought up under Abrahamic traditions or anything like that. And at some point you think that is really what the problem is. But honestly, there's something even deeper than those. Those religions they're barriers, they're mirrors, they're things that prevent people from seeing the truth. The religions prevent people from seeing the truth. In this video, I want to talk about that. My name is Dan Paulson. I'm 67. I'm retired. I am fortunate in that though I am not wealthy, I have control of my time, so I'm able to just locally, do my own thing, kind of explore and study. And if you look at my channel, you'll see that's what I've done. I've made it a point to study ancient material. Well, I'm going to say that I've never felt this nervous about the world and the state of the world in my life. This is something that I know part of it has to do with when you're busy, you're really focused on your own life. You don't have the opportunity to see the world. You don't see a big picture. But I think it's getting harder and harder to dismiss the idea that something is going wrong at a much bigger scale than locally. It's something that's global. There's something going on. Certainly in the U.S., to look at every nation or every country, anybody in the past that ever rose to prominence didn't stay there, did they? They collapsed. They became corrupt. That's exactly what we're seeing the beginning of now. Or it's been going on for a little while, but the collapse is going to be slower because the world works differently. There's a lot of things that are supporting themselves that don't just instantly collapse. Everything isn't reliant upon the government necessarily. So there's a global, structure in place that's going to cause things to slow down a little bit more. But let's get to the point. What is the problem? How come we can't feel okay? You know what it feels like? If you're a sensitive person and you get the sensation that something's sneaking up on you and you can't shake that feeling until you resolve what's there, it's like that, except that you can't resolve it. It's like something is sneaking up on me and I can't resolve it. That's what it feels like. Now, I've put a lot of thought to this, and there's times where you talk to people and, the problem is transhumanism or something like that. And it's like, no, that's not the problem. That's something you have a problem with, but it's something much deeper than that. We got to really get to the bottom of this. So we have to stop looking at the things that we like or don't like about society and step back and get out to outer space and look at planet Earth and understand something, first of all, that planet Earth, despite the fact that it's not conscious, it's kind of a living organism. It has all the elements necessary, and even if humans were not there, or any other mammalian life, if it was just plants, it would be a living organism that is alive and self-sufficient like a terrarium for a time frame until it wears out. It's going to come into life and it's going to have a lifespan. Earth is in a lifespan. It's a huge lifespan compared to us, but it's nevertheless a lifespan. We even know so much as to, it's going to be, well over 1 billion years or several billion, but our sun, as it burns off its energy, it gets larger and larger as the gravity decreases until it turns into a brown dwarf. It's going to burn off our atmosphere. It's going to maybe even engulf Earth. At some point in time, we can see the way things are working that Earth is going to have an end of life or end of capacity. So knowing that, we can still sit back here and look at things and see the dinosaurs appeared, and they were around for a long period of time, but they ended. Other things came and went. Creatures come, they evolve. If they adapt well to the environment, then they are around for a long period of time, continually adapting and changing and morphing as the environment morphs. Something happens and wipes them out. Changes start over again. Humans come along eventually. We're just barely here. We have not been here very long, but we, among all other creatures, have the capacity to have significant impact on the way our environment works. Understanding that our environment is a natural thing that we emerge from, and we are now doing things to it that manipulate it, that are not natural anymore. And some of that's okay. I'm okay with genetically modified food and things like that. If my tomato has got some fish DNA in it to keep it ripe on the shelf, I'm okay with that. It doesn't seem, I don't eat tomatoes anyway, but I mean, there's people that complain a lot about stuff, but if you think about it, every one of us is a genetically modified organism. You're not like anybody else. We're genetically different. We're products of our mother and father and variations there, and our offsprings are genetically modified versions of us. So it just depends on what you're doing in the genetic modification, something to help or something to be freakish, Yeah, if we're doing things to improve life and to try and feed more people, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Winter wheat is what? Genetically modified wheat. What would happen if it wasn't there? People would starve. All right, I don't mean to go far down that path, other than to say that some of the things that humans impact are going to be for the benefit of humans. We've got medicines and things like that. We've got longer lifespans. We have the potential to have better quality of life, although we tend not to because of the way we're living and the way we're eating, the way we're overfilling, the way we're overconsuming. We're not as healthy as we should be because of overpopulation, honestly. And that's what's happening is that the Earth, when we were hunters and gatherers and we were on foot and equal footing with the animals, we were kept in balance. Everything was kept in a natural balance. And it was probably very difficult for humans to have offspring. Think about how long it takes for humans to be able to walk around even after they're born. Most animals can, within an hour or two are up and moving at least. Even if they're not skilled yet, they're going to hang out with mom and run. An infant, boy, you can't set it down. It's not going to come with you. There's so much for a human. Human life is going to be very difficult. It's rare in many ways. Somehow, for whatever reason, I don't even want to get into how we evolved, but we did. We learned to take the water that we needed and to store it and to route it, so that we were, beginning to create irrigation and then learning to master crops and things like that. Soon were able to get in larger groups and begin to grow. And if you watch down there, you see that that's what's happening. You watch down there and go, oh, yeah, the Göbekli Tepe and things like that. It's obviously older than what you see at Egypt. The pyramids were still done when the Egyptians were there. The pyramids are not older than the Egyptians. I don't get into all that foil hat stuff. What you're looking at down there, what we're looking at and what we're observing is that all around the world, whether it's Incan pyramids or big, huge structures in Japan or in China or Europe, anywhere in the world where big, huge structures are beginning to appear, Africa, what is happening is that's the same time that humans are really emerging. The species has really taken off. It's been years now that we've got plenty of food. We're getting a handle on it. We've got our buildings together here, our larger cities, people beginning to work, beginning to have an infrastructure. Suddenly we've got a booming population, and what do? We put them to work. That's when all those big stone structures appear at the same time, as well as that is when religions and mythologies appear, all of them from the same time frame. There's stories, old stories. There's obviously things that went beyond there the records are not maintained. At some point, you're looking at rocks going, I don't know what they did. The oldest creation stories that we have from the Babylonians and Sumerians are from clay tablets, that are fragmentary. So there's a point where we only have information that goes back so far. We had to develop the medium to write and to store the information. Okay, so we see that happening down there, and we see all that happening at the same time. We know when the population began to boom. At the same time, all those big stone structures were being built. What are you going to do as a leader? If you got to work things out. You got suddenly thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of people with no structure. You're going to have to do something. They need to work. They need to be digging irrigation. They need to be dyeing cloth. They need to be all the things in the past that were. This is how we live together. Now we need these things, so let's work together and create. All of that comes about at that point in time. What happens, though, is now we do things like we're looking for gold and we put, mercury in with it and poison the water. We're getting away from those kind of practices. But there's a lot of things that we're doing later on that are no longer natural anymore. We're now starting to do things that are having an adverse impact. I'll eat I'll eat bread that I know is genetically modified wheat. I won't, I won't eat fruit that's been watered with, toxins or something like that. You know that's in the fruit. Gasoline or something in there you put that on the ground, what happens? It kills everything. So there's things that are very harmful to the environment that we have the capacity to do, and it's not that big of a deal until it gets larger and larger scale. But what's happening here, if you step back and really think about it, imagine Earth is a 100-gallon terrarium. It's totally sealed, it's fixed, it starts out brand new, there's not much in it, you put a couple of things in it, plus a pair of mating frogs. You seal it up and you let it go. And at first it's very slow. There's a few frogs, the water's there, the plants are growing. At some point, after a few years, this thing is overgrown. It's lush, it's filled up, there's frogs hopping all over the place. But at some point, there's so many of them that what happens? It has to be maintained in a balance. You're only going to fill it so far. The Earth is a terrarium that we are filling up. Where I live, I see houses housing areas, just poop, 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 poop. It's like, where is everybody coming from? Nobody's slowing down. We're heading for a problem. We're heading to that end. I'll reintroduce the Christian idea here, and they're not the only ones on the globe, though, that say, you know what, I don't even care about evolution, that's not happening. There's people that don't believe in Abraham, but think that the Anunnaki brought us here. They're still wacko or something like that. The Earth is hypercritical to our life. And people have this idea that that life starts after this, which is very wrong. It takes people's attention away from focusing on this and puts it somewhere else while ignoring this and just, basically abusing it through difficult usage, but also not recognizing that we're just filling it up, pumping more kids out. Now, there's some people that recognize that and go, I'm not going to have kids. But certain religious areas where this is denied, that's not an issue. They're just going to keep having kids. In fact, you must have your kids too if you get pregnant. Meanwhile, we're going through this process of sex drive is a part of life. Getting hungry, having fear, wanting to have sex, all of those are primary drives that we would not be here if they weren't there. The idea that somehow they're sinful or something like that is ridiculous. We're not going to understand them if we treat them that way. People are going to, they need to curtail it, but people are going to express their drives. And they're going to suffer the consequences. And we're going to be sitting here going, I didn't want that kid, but I can't stop. Well, we have to know that that's happening. My wife and I still have sex, but we take steps to make sure there is no pregnancy. Of course, we're not at this age. It's a non-issue. You get the idea. You can have sex without having children. However, people that don't have the capacity to have some sort of birth control, they're going to have sex anyway. They will, whether the child's wanted or not. It's just a part of human drive. That's what. Yeah, it's where we come from. It's not turned off. All right. What you look at in this lifespan for Earth and for humans in particular, you go, well, humans emerged here and they're going to live up to a certain point. We don't know when. We know that it's going to end, that humans won't be around forever. They won't even be around. They probably won't be the last animal on the planet. It's going to be something in the ocean or something that's perhaps a little more protected, as everything will be burning off at that point. Humans will be gone probably before other animals. The question is, how fast is that going to happen naturally? And are we, in our own process of natural life and evolution, accelerating that demise because of not recognizing we're in a lifespan and we're consuming into our environment to the point that we're going to fill it with things we don't want? How many thousands of people do you want to put in jail? Is that how you want to fill up the planet? There's things that we're just not doing responsibly to slow down what is obviously inevitable, but we're not. And then what's happening now? We have this very tribal, people are, boy, the world is in bad shape. Christians, Muslims, you know what? You're all under the same Abrahamic umbrella. We're overfilling. We're overpopulating. We're not over evolving. We're not putting evolution into check. We're not understanding that we're evolving. So we're just continually acting as if evolution is a non-issue, that we're going to just create more people for the life beyond or something that isn't coming. What are we doing in the meantime? We're creating this problem on Earth that is accelerating everyone's demise. Christians, I will tell you, if you're all Christians, if you're all going to go to heaven, if I had the opportunity to go there too, I don't want to. I don't want to be with you guys. It's no different than being on Earth. This is bugging me. It's already, we're not being responsible. Well, anyway, I guess I wanted to say that. I wanted to get it off my chest. It's a difficult thing to talk about. Religion is a very two-edged sword. For the individual, it's so comforting. You'd sit there and say, how could this be harmful? It gives me my peace of mind. I would not have any sanctity otherwise. I wouldn't be able to live without this belief. And within an individual and within a group, that's going to be the case, because it's the psychology of that person or that group that is responding to that comfort that comes from that belief. So if the belief isn't there, the comfort goes away, and that's very understandable. That's because we're fear-driven, existential fear. I'm going to die. If I believe this, I don't have to live my life knowing that I'm going to die. I can now live thinking I'm going to live forever. I'm not stuck in that, oh shit, I'm going to die. You get that monkey off your back. However, the rest of it does what? Step outside of it as an individual and look at it on a global scale and go, oh, it's no longer good anymore, because now it is a tribal mechanism that is hurting other innocent people and not recognizing that we're evolving here. You're not doing the right things to help us have peace on Earth or to preserve the Earth and to enhance the longevity of life on Earth that has limits anyway. Why would we want to speed it up? Why would we, if you thought about it, be so selfish right now that I want mine so much, I don't give a shit what my kids and my grandkids have to put up with. They can just suffer in hell for all I care, as long as I get mine. You have to think what we're doing. It's going to have an impact down the road. You may not suffer, but we're making people out beyond us suffer beyond. Oh, we didn't know that. We're learning this now because we can see it. We're becoming more aware. We're evolving. How far will we evolve? Will we make it beyond our tribal I, me? If you're a part of my religion, you're okay. I don't get it. Christianity, there's so many denominations, they don't even act alike. They don't think alike. It is a tribal mechanism. It is an idol worship religion. I want to describe that because people say that we don't have an idol. There's no idol to worship. Okay, so the idol is this way. It starts out with, Baal, Daniel, if we're talking Judeo-Christian story. The idea that there's something to worship. It's either brass or wood with something wrapped on it, or ceramic or something like that. Some man-made something that has some kind of a figure that's protected, that you go and you worship it. And this is your God. And this is long ago. They created gods in this manner. You would worship something like that. They were things you couldn't really understand. They were quickly tested and proven to be wrong, though. The story of Daniel, where the king had his idol and wanted everybody to worship, and they would bring food in, and that was his proof. We could bring food in. I'm going to seal this whole tomb up. The next day we come back, and look, the food has been eaten. The God is eating the food. It's obviously true. Daniel, proved to him that it was wrong by sprinkling flour on the floor, and they put food out, and the next day they went and looked, and they saw that there's a doorway that was a secret passageway that that the priest would open up, and their family would come in. So there's like little kid footprints and all kinds of footprints all over the place, and you could see that, okay, yeah, your God didn't eat the food. You're being lied to. People are coming in and eating the God's food and making you think the God's doing it. So all of that, okay, so your God is proven false. Your God is true. But what are we doing? We're worshiping something that can be looked at. At some point, they're creating gods in a different way. They're now in the ocean. They're now up in the stars. They're pushed to a point where you can no longer look at them closely. You can see their actions or something like that and go, okay, I see that there. Eventually, though, you understand, okay, that's a star. That's a meteorite or something here that you realize, okay, that's not a God. So you have to push the God farther away. The idol suddenly becomes invisible. It's still the same thing. You're still worshiping a non-entity. However, what have you done? You've just said, okay, now it is out so far that you can't see it, and it's invisible, so you can't see it even if it's here. All those, eventually we evolve the idea to create this idol into something so invisible that we don't even call it an idol anymore. But that's it. What is it? It's idol worshiping without an idol to look at. There's still nothing out there. People can say that there is. I get that. I know what you're saying. We don't need to have that debate. If there was something out there that you could demonstrate, not only would you be able to demonstrate it to me, but I would have already seen it long before. I wouldn't need you to demonstrate it to me. I'm very clever. I can see what's there and what's not. I also know what the difference is between seeking and knocking for righteousness or just having faith in something and saying, I don't even want to look. All right, so that gets into a different area here. But the problem is that I see is that we are evolving. We are overpopulating. We're overfilling places. Some people make it, some people don't, but that ratio continues to increase. There's going to be a balance. I mean, at some point there will have to be a collapse. We're seeing some pretty bad things going on right now. And it's not because we are understanding evolution, it's because we're denying evolution and we're being tribal instead of saying, you know what, let's try to preserve this planet in the best way possible. We're saying, that's mine. God gave it to us. We're going to kill you. We're going to bomb you. We're going to put missiles in. We're going to destroy your entire, your capacity to defend yourself and everything else. We're just going to, that's not evolving very well, but it is overpopulating damn well and being tribal, remaining more a hunter-gatherer in the tribal capacity, based in fear, different brain types functioning in different ways. The larger group, the one that the hunters, the foragers, the baby engine, we don't process what's good or bad. If you're from outside, you're an enemy. We're just going to treat you like an enemy because that's the safest way for this group. You want to evolve that way, but now look at what's happening. That same group is doing the same thing, except now it's massive. You're not a part of our group. You're dead. Yeah, you're nothing. You're an enemy to us. Meanwhile, you just want to live your life, but we're an enemy to them. Why? Because we're not them. Their brains can't process that. And there are more of them than there are of ours. So you can't really interrupt it, it seems like. I don't know. I can't think of a way. If anybody has any ideas. I think we're stuck on a ride. We're stuck on a ride to hell. And the difficult part is how to ride that without feeling, here it comes. I know my own demise is coming. If I went to bed tonight and fell asleep and never woke up again, I'd be okay. I'd be okay. I'm all right. I'm ready for that. But I'm not ready for what's happening to the world and the daughters that I love and the grandchildren that I love. I grew up in such a peaceful, fun place, playing in the yard, neighbors waving at you, giving you a ride home, things like that. I didn't grow up in a world like we have today that's just so full of people and people taking advantage and not figuring it out. Evolution, when it was difficult, when life was difficult, you did not have a lot of variation. Life was difficult. Now life is easy because of civilization, and because of that we see massive amounts of variation making it into the gene pool. That if you suddenly if something happened on planet Earth and suddenly we went back to hunting and foraging, the vast majority, 99% of humans would probably be dead. Certainly most in America would. Places where they'd live more primitive, they would have a much better chance. The people that are living like in tribes already and nomadic lifestyles and things like that, they're fine. It's all of us that live in the cities and rely on the grocery stores and things. We're the ones that are going to be gone. Yeah, we don't know how to live off the land. If we were hungry and had to eat a lizard, we'd go, ooh, yuck. We wouldn't make it. All right. Well, I don't know what else to say on this. It's a difficult thing, like I said, and because it's there, you know what? I see this also. That when we evolved to share 6 senses. 5 senses we have in the physical world, but we share that 6th sense, which is emotional, and we feel it. Instead of the ears hearing, the eyes seeing, the mouth knows, all that kind of stuff. It's the central nervous system that senses an emotional field, but that senses fear or joy. That's why when we get together and worship in a big group, you can feel super elevated. You get together in an angry group, you can get more pissed off than you will on your own. All of those are indicators that we're sharing a field that if we evolved, that field would be necessary. It would help us detect things. It would help us sense and see things. Right now, that's that field that we're feeling, that everybody is starting to feel this nervousness. And because of that, imagine it this way. Imagine that there's a sound that's being emitted that's pleasant. I like to hear that all the time. But then you begin to hear something that's grating and it doesn't sound good. Now imagine that in an emotional state. There's something that feels good or there's something that feels bad. And I'm caught. It feels like something is after me. It does. It feels like I'm being stalked. Or you see the picture of that lion standing there over the baby gazelle, and the baby gazelle is just standing there motionless and won't move because it knows it's going to get eaten. Its just instinct is to stay stationary. Meanwhile, the lion's using it as bait. Kind of feel like that gazelle right now. Standing there getting ready to get pounced upon, and there's not a damn thing you can do. It's not a good feeling. It's hard to just get by going, do your day-to-day thing. If you're busy, that's a good thing. I would not be having kids in this world today. I did, and people would say, well, you had them. Yeah, you know what? Donald Trump wasn't the frickin' president back when I had my kids. I did not see what was coming. We're facing something now that you go, oh my God. Whether we saw it or not, here it is. If you can't see it now, you're not looking. If evolution is somehow not kept in check or not monitored or somehow looked at, recognized, observed, recognized globally from around the world, you look at that and go, yeah, what's the odds of that happening? That's not going to happen. We're along for the ride we don't want to go on. Ignorance is bliss. If you don't see this, don't look. See you in the next video.